Welcome to Millville, New Jersey. There's the downtown, just a couple of miles from the New Jersey Motorsports Park facility, a bustling little town. A little river runs through it. I saw the best sushi place in Millville. I don't know if that's a big acclaim, but I saw that on the billboard yesterday. But we're in New Jersey Motorsports Park, about an hour outside of Philadelphia. And MotoAmerica Twins Cup competition ready to kick off. Our first race of the day here, stop number 6 of 9 of the 2020 campaign. There's our vantage point up there on that third story as they're out there on their siding lap getting ready to go. The Twins Cup, and Rocco Landers going back to back to back with victories. He's won, 4 out of the last 5, looking to make it 5 out of the last 6 races.
Yeah, he definitely looks good, but the biggest thing for me this race is to see if what Caleb DeCarroll can do after his struggles yesterday. Let's see if he's got that clutch fix, because he can't keep losing that much points.
There's Roger Hayden. He's the authority. I'm just the guy that's talking about what I'm seeing out there. Robbie Floyd and Caleb DeCarroll. But this is probably, I would say, it was our most competitive racing class yesterday, and it wasn't for the win. I think Rocco had that taken care of. It was second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. It was a big question out there. And Jamie, you're going to have your hands full working your way through pit lane, because there were several guys in contention for those podium spots.
And there were a lot of guys that made some improvements overnight, so we expect to see that pack at the front grow even more than what it was yesterday. Track temperature has gone up over the morning. It's now up to about 91 degrees, which I've been told by Dunlop that once we get into that 30 degrees Celsius range, which right now we're at 33, it's really pretty good for any of the tire options. It just comes down to the individual tune-up on each of the motorcycles and what they want to get out of them. That was one thing that Rocco talked about at the end of the race yesterday, that if he had to push the entire time, he didn't know if they had made the right choice. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next several laps.
Yes, it will be. And looking at Rocco Landers there, again, that streak that he's been on. And he also is looking to miss a round, which would be the Laguna Seca race. And not that he necessarily wants to, but he's got to head over to Europe for the Red Bull Rookies Cup. And he needs to keep winning. And he has an advantage over Caleb DeCarroll, but it's a single-digit advantage. You get 25 points for a victory, so he wants to be 26 points ahead of Caleb DeCarroll as he goes into that Laguna Seca round, and he's got to keep winning if he's going to do that.
Yeah, definitely. He needs 25 points. That's what it pays to win a race, so he's going to try to go whenever Laguna Seca. I think they have one race there that weekend, so he's going to want to have 26-point advantage going into there. So even if Caleb wins, he's still a champion.
Looking at Caleb DeCarroll there, he's very easy to see. 1833 CJ Nose, Roaring Toys, Yamaha. These guys just circulated the course just a moment ago. I think they're going to get one more lap before they will take off. Jackson Blackman in the picture there as well, the 196, Armac
Looking
Johnson.
at the window, looks like somebody's missing on the front row outside. Teague Hobbs.
Oh, you're right. What happened there? The guy that was so fast, he was fast in warm-up. Teague Hobbs is supposed to be on that front row, and he's not there. He's sitting in pit out, so he wasn't able to make the starting or his sight lap. So there's Teague Hobbs. So he's going to have to start from basically pit lane. That's, well, we're going to see how he can work his way through the field.
Yeah,
Will they let him take his spot?
I think they'll let him out, but he's going to have to start in the back. There's no way he's going to get this. So he's not going to get to start in his normal grid spot. He's going to start last.
Okay, so this will be the final time they circulate the course. And yes, he does take off from pit lane, but so he'll actually get that grid spot at the very back. And we've seen it before. We've seen guys work their way up. I think it was Rocco Landers and Lucamali Jr. At VIR just
Kevin
last
Almeida
year.
At Pittsburgh.
Kevin Almeida did the same thing too. Was it one of those uh-oh moments, or did they have a mechanical thing that they couldn't get the bike started and ready? There's the course here, 2.25 miles, more rights than left hands.
A lot more rights. The first section's pretty tight, especially that 3 ABC. You get a good run up. 4, one of the best passing zone is into turn 5, and then after that, you have the one right-hander, then headed into that long sweeping right where we've seen catch a couple guys out yesterday in the turn 9, and as you go into turn 10, it's a slow corner, but it's really important because it kind of sets you up for that drive headed out of turn 12, which is probably the most important corner on the track, because it's the one on the front straightaway, which gives people the run, and you can get a draft on somebody headed into turn 1.
Yeah, 11, 12, and coming down that front straight. We heard Caleb DeCarroll talking about it. We've heard Hayden Schultz talk about it. I mean, the guys with the power can be behind and maybe do that slipstream move out. So 79 evidently will be able to go out there on the track and race. We'll see if he does take that position. There's your starting lineup. Let's take a look at Rocco Landers, Dominic Doyle on that front row. Doyle now in that Twins Cup race. First time to see him yesterday in the Twins Cup bike, and he was fast. Qualified second fastest. Row 3 with Jackson Blackman went down yesterday. Trevor Standish up there in the front. Cooper McDonald finished right around that nice spot. He needs to pick it up a little bit. Chris Spates, Rodney Vest looking to improve on their starting spots. Again, some of these guys didn't get much time out there. Their qualifying spots might not be where they wanted to be. It was raining in their first qualifier. Second qualifier is where we got all those times. And a lot of them were working on it. All right, that red's out of the way. We're going to see some lights, and when they drop out, it's time to take off. You see Teague Hobbs having to start from the back of the field. A missing spot on that front row. Good run by Doyle.
Rocco got a good start, but it looks like he had a little issue going to second gear.
Doyle's going to be on that inside. Doyle's going to take the lead. You also see the Yamaha of Caleb DeCarroll into third right now as well. So Rocco able to get back by him? Yep. He didn't take long, did he?
No, headed into turn 3. He just got a good run out of 2 and had the line going into 3.
Let's find out what happened with Teague Hobbs. Let's go to Jamie.
Just at the last moment, as they were rolling that bike out for that sighting lap, there was a problem on the tire with the valve stem. It let all the air out, so they had to use that time to get him back into race condition. He missed the sighting lap, and then when he went around for that second lap, he had to go to the back of the field. But I didn't see he made up a couple of positions with a pretty good start.
Wow,
yeah, he's already right behind Cooper McDonald.
Roger, dude, we saw that turn not be so kind to a rider earlier today.
No, but I mean, you can just tell he's trying to be really aggressive on the first lap and try to make up as many positions as possible, and he's did a good job of it because he's already well inside the top 10.
What can he do? Where can he make his way up to? I mean, if he gets up on the podium, it'll be tremendous, and he's already halfway there. And boy, will that put a feather in your cap if you are able to close into those top 3 really early.
And look at Caleb DeCarroll. He's already got into second.
DeCarroll able to get by Toby Komsuk has been up there. Dominic Doyle, Hayden Schultz, hadn't seen the 259 in the picture. He's also on a Yamaha. There's 259 trying to get by Doyle. Now goes to the inside of him. Now it's Schultz up into 4th spot. So I think this is our most competitive class, or the most competitive race, but it's been the Rocco Landers show. Landers a 1:29.42 on that first lap, but I mean, look at the time, 1:29.54 by DeCarroll. He's right there with him.
Yeah, Caleb had a great first lap, but he had to come from a little further back, and that's why you see that gap of 0.6.
But the only guys in that 1:29 range, Komsuk, Brabham Engineering, Kopulos, Suzuki into 3rd, but Hayden Schultz said, he needed to get up there in front early, and maybe not the best first lap. He's back there in 4th. He's got a fast rider just in front of him, but he wants to catch up with DeCarroll. That's really who he needs to grab hold of.
Yeah, I think he feels like he can go with Caleb if he can get by, but Toby's been riding good this weekend, so he's going to be difficult to pass.
Not going to be easy, and if anybody has a chance to beat Rocco, you got to be there now. You can't wait till the end of the race, because he usually does not wait to pull away. Good run by Dominic Doyle right there in the turn. Switching back and forth, and we saw Dominic Doyle yesterday. The main place for him to pass was turn 5. We'll see if he's able to put the pressure on these guys then. And a good run by Hayden Schultz. He knows he's got that power of the Yamaha, but I'm telling you.
Now, Toby's too good on the brakes.
And the Suzuki was fast, too. I know Kopulos is right down the road here. This is his home race, and he wants to show that he's got the power as well. Might have been Chris Spates that was down.
Also, T. Hobbs must have made a mistake that lap, too, because he lost a couple spots.
Good run by Schultz. He goes to the inside and almost running out of real estate there is Komsuk. Now Doyle on him. That was the 642 of Robert Cicciello Jr. that was down early.
There goes Doyle on turn 5.
Well, we kind of guessed that, didn't we? We felt that would be the place to make it. Now he can kind of regroup, take a deep breath. With Schultz in third, he can see kind of gauge himself off of DeCarroll just in front of him. He's got ground to make up. That last time around, DeCarroll was about a second, 1.4 seconds in front of him.
I think we'll see Rocco go a lot faster than yesterday now that, he can't just – yesterday he could kind of cruise, but today, so far, Caleb's keeping him honest.
As we see this three-rider battle in the twins class, Dominic Doyle, Rocco Landers going to be racing 2 races today. Not only this Twins Cup race, but all the Liqui Jr. And you're starting to see the racecraft really starting to shine with Dominic Doyle going to the inside, getting a little more used to this bike. I know that Russell Mascar here, one of the guys that kind of developed this twin program, trying to help him out this weekend as well. A lot of runoff from Schultz. Doyle on the inside on the good asphalt. These three kind of hanging really tight. Whatever clutch issues, and Caleb DeCarroll had a clutch issue where he was saying when he was releasing it, it always wasn't there. He would have a feeling like it was freewheeling, like a false neutral, and then instead of clutch engaging, it would literally do it all at once. There goes Doyle again to the inside. Schultz, after watching yesterday's race, has to know that that's one of his points.
He was pretty far back. You can just see how much more aggressive Dominic Doyle is today after having that one race yesterday on the Twins bike, the first one. His first race on this bike was yesterday.
And also the disappointment, the anger from the Liqui Jr. He was actually called for a starting infraction and had to do it like basically a ride-through penalty, and wasn't too happy about that. Well, you know what? Caleb DeCarroll's doing what he's supposed to do. If he's going to lose any points, he needs to make it a minimum points to Rocco Landers, albeit that is 5-point disadvantage right now, but he doesn't have Schultz. He doesn't have, Doyle or Comstock in between, because if he does that, you lose a ton of points like he did the day before.
Yeah, but these guys are starting to really man a couple tenths a lap, so he's not going to, he can't let Hayden Schultz and Dominic Doyle catch him.
And there's Jackson Blackman, Trevor Standish. Blackman on the 18. Another one of those Robham entries. Standish on the Pure Attitude Racing ride just behind him, the 16. Out of Georgia. These two guys kind of locked up together, and unfortunately Blackman either got into somebody yesterday or grabbed a little bit too much front brake because it was so close, and he lost a lot of points. We've been told this is a clean start. So, well, Dominic Doyle doesn't have to think about it, of course, but neither does anybody else as far as any penalties. Jackson Blackman is kind of a surprise, though. He's back there in 6th because he was so strong last year. At one of his first times riding in the Twins Cup. He almost won the race, finished 2nd, and now he's currently in 6th after having a DNF yesterday.
I think that battle for the podium, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is really starting to tighten up.
Let's take a look. There's Rocco Landers. Landers well out in front of the sportbiketrackgear.com, roadracingworld.com, Suzuki. Schultz is closing in on Caleb DeCarroll. Little separation between himself and Dominic Doyle. Now, there's 2 Yamahas and a Suzuki.
Yep. Hayden Schultz was almost a second faster than Caleb that lap.
And look, personal bests in both sectors 1, 2, and 4. We don't get any telemetry from 3, so he might have had personal bests.
Let's just hope that he's not having that issue he had yesterday, off the start. Maybe after the first couple laps now, maybe that he could be having that clutch problem again.
We also really don't know, because if you're trying to baby that thing or don't know what it's going to do, he doesn't really know where the tires are going to be towards the end of the race. It's not really that long of a race, 14 laps, but still, when you haven't put them under full tilt boogie mode for 14 laps, you don't know where you're going to be. You like that full tilt boogie? Little FTB? Go ahead, say it.
There's nothing to say. Nope, look. They're there, Dominic and Hayden Schultz.
All up in the business. Schultz and Dom takes that lower route around there.
Looks like Toby's just falling off these guys a little bit.
Well, we'll see if DeCarroll actually holds them up. So here's a case where Schultz, he needs to get by as fast as he can, right? Or you will let somebody like Toby Comstock get back into that picture. And it's one thing having one guy to deal with, but now when you have Dominic Doyle, you can't do anything too crazy or Doyle's going to get by you. especially if you open up the inside, say on one of those sweeping right-handers like around 9.
We talked to Hayden during that lunch break, and he was talking about how fast he was out of turn 12 in that last sector, and you could see it right there.
No doubt. And DeCarroll, when I was talking about him, not only was he having a clutch issue, he said the motor just wasn't there. He said, this is our 4th race that we've had on it. I don't know if it needs to be freshened up or what. That's the sister motor to Cooper McDonald. I think he had it put in back in Atlanta, I believe. Let's go down to Jamie with more on Rocco Landers.
As the gap from first to second now grows to almost 5 seconds at 4.9 right now. Rocco, we talked about it early on that he was worried about having enough tire left on that bike at the end of the race, but the team was able to find something overnight and they were able to raise that ride height. So hopefully they're going to keep that a little more stable and give him some more grip at the end.
How does that ride height affect you as far as things, as far as the tire? But that's a rider preference on what he was looking for, right?
Yeah, they made a lot of changes on that bike overnight to, front and rear, and it seemed to be a lot better in the warm-up. You can see he's a lot faster already today. He's under the Twins Cup track record by almost 3/10. So whatever changes they made overnight is definitely working, because even now when he's just kind of on cruise control, he's still in the 26s.
We saw that even in warm-ups this morning. He was turning record speeds, and there's what happened down that front straightaway. And it really sets up at 11 to get you that drive coming into 12, right?
Definitely. It really starts in turn 10, just getting that good drive from 10 to 12 and keeping that momentum going out of turn 12. And like I said before the race, it's the most important corner on the track because it sets you up for the easiest place to pass.
You see Dominic Dole trying to make passes as well. Oh, run off just a little bit. You don't want to do that. We saw Matt Schultz in a warm-up this morning said he was looking too far ahead and kind of ran off the track because at the end of that rumble strip, there's grass, and if you touch the grass here, you're probably going down.
You can just see how fast Dominic Doyle is through turn 4. So you talk about
there
that.
You go, pass.
Ben, having somebody in front of him, he wanted to make that pass on Caleb, but Caleb was already in that line making the pass on Hayden.
Yeah, you swing wide, you expect somebody, especially with the talent of these 3 guys, very talented, the youngest being Dominic Doyle, but Hayden Schultz has run the Super Sport class in the 600s before. Doyle winning Liqui Moly Juniors this year. And, of course, you had the points leader until yesterday, Caleb DeCarroll, with a couple of wins this season as well. So these guys know what it takes to win. Dominic Doyle on the 25, the Robin Engineering Suzuki, it looks like he's pretty patient right now. I think, again, it almost feels like it's that race for second. Rocco's out there, 5+ seconds. Who's going to be the first one of these 3? I think that's what they're racing for. Another
you can just
draft.
see Hayden get that good run out of turn 12 again, but just didn't have enough to get by before turn 1, and then you can see these guys kind of bunch back up out of turn 1, and you can see sometimes on Dominic Doyle, talking to him yesterday, he has a little head shake, and you've seen it right there on the camera a little bit, that he's just something that he's struggling with that they can't figure out, which they will once they get more time on the bike.
You see when he made that switchback too, the bike getting a little unstable underneath him, and there's a little bit of a wobble. Steering dampeners and things like that is something that, it might solve some of that problem, but it also affects you in other parts of the track you don't want to really deal with. One thing about the clutch issues that Caleb DeCarroll was having, he was especially talking about that front straightaway and going into one. Looks like he's got it where he wants it to be, because if he was uncertain whether that clutch was going to engage or disengage, you certainly don't see that.
He would have gave up the position.
Yeah, you don't see that out of it. And we'd have seen the back end probably try and lock up and or slide out. We're on lap number 9 of 14. There's that look back. That should be Toby Comstock. Or no, that should be Jackson Blackman, Trevor Standish. That's the race for 6th. Blackman currently in 6th. Trevor Standish on the 16 in 7th. This is going to be our race. This race to the podium. And the thing is, there's 3 riders in this picture, and only 2 of them going to make that podium. And there's the drag race again. And you know what? If DeCarroll thinks that motor is not fast, he is wrong. He come across 6 hundredths of a second ahead of Hayden Schultz. But I think he's got enough power to hold him off.
I think so too, but also Hayden looked like he pulled out of the draft a little bit early, and maybe he doesn't want to show his cards too early and save that for the last lap.
That may be true as well. Why? As long as you can be the guy that's right behind DeCarroll, do it at the end. Yeah, if he makes mistakes, especially if he goes wide going into 5, expect Dominic
Doyle.
Him do underneath him. I was like, expect Dominic Doyle to go underneath for sure. And you see the style and the size of the riders. Caleb DeCarroll, more like a typical body size. You look at it, I'm not bagging on Hayden Schultz, but he's built like a linebacker, more like a fullback. He's going to be blocking some wind. Doyle needs to get in that tuck and get behind him. But I think that also helps Hayden Schultz, too. He said that it helped him when he crashed when we saw him at Pittsburgh, but he can actually muscle that bike around.
You know, where he's so fast through here, probably helps him out because he can wrestle the bike back and forth.
Who is it? Bobby Fong that's been talking about how those last few turns and coming to the front straightaway really works his hands and wrist and upper body.
Just see the run.
And there's a full straightaway lead for Rocco Landers, the 97, trying to go 4 in a row. And there's the pass. A really good run by Hayden Schultz. I think you were right. That one time he pulled out, he probably knew he didn't have it, so he went ahead and pushed it for the next time. With 4 laps to go, this is your trying to, if you can check out, now's the time to do it.
Definitely. And he's a little bit better through this section too. Especially you got 3B headed into 3C. He's just a little bit stronger than Caleb out there. You see how he pulls the little gap, and Dominic's pretty fast through there too.
Yeah, Doyle sees that, and Doyle's going to want to get by really soon. If
he's going for it.
If he thinks that Schultz can pull away, and there he goes to the inside, lets out that clutch and takes over position, and it's Dominic Doyle into 3rd now. DeCarroll drops back. This is everything that Rocco Landers wants to see. More riders between himself and Caleb DeCarroll. Let's go down to Jamie.
One thing, I'm looking at Rocco Landers' signboard that his mom is putting up for him, and one of the pieces of information that he wants on it is who is actually right behind him, not just what the gap is. And don't see a lot of that right now. It still says it's number 51 of Caleb DeCarroll. So I guess he just wants to know who's right there. Roger, you could probably speak to that.
Yeah, for me, I always wanted to know which guy was behind me because every person you race with races different. And so if you know who's behind you, you know, you can kind of know what to expect if they're going to try to make a pass or not.
There goes Mama doing the fist pump down the straight. She's going to have to change that because it's no longer the 51. It's the 259, and he's going to love seeing that. Oh, there goes to Carroll on the inside. Right-hand turn coming up, and he gets by both. Wow. And Dominic looked really good. I saw the bike kind of
he's just struggling on you can see a lot of movement on the front end. Dominic Doyle's bike.
Good run by Schultz, and he had to finally give it up and stand it up. So just when you think, you know, somebody's going to be quicker than DeCarroll, he comes back and fights, and that's what we thought. We didn't know he had the mechanical, but we expect, even though he had a bad qualifier, we expect him to be in race trim to be up there with the boys, but he wasn't yesterday. Took 6th place. Today, he's in 2nd, but look at this beehive behind him.
Every lap, Dominic Doyle headed into turn 5, always looking to make a pass there.
Yeah, don't make a mistake and give him too much room. Schultz having to stand it up just a little bit too there. I don't know where Caleb's faster or why he was able to pull on that straightaway.
It's a little bit easier when you're behind somebody to get a run out of turn 12, you know, because you can gauge your speed off them, just go through there just a little bit quicker than the guy in front of you, and it makes it a little bit easier.
Carroll coming through there this time. I don't think Doyle's close enough to really do anything.
They get such a run on him out of 12.
Woo! And here goes Schultz to the inside, 3 wide into the right-hander. Schultz goes from 4th into 2nd, and now we have 2 laps to go. Word on the ground is that we are seeing sprinkles as well. We knew that. Word on the ground is we have sprinkles as well. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button, and we've heard a rumor that there is humidity. It was going to be high humidity, but I did not expect rain.
You can see Hayden Schultz now blocks that inside, headed into 5. He's not going to make that mistake, try to leave the door open, especially with only 2 laps to go.
A little bit of separation here this time. It's going to come down to that front straightaway, and it might not. You may see a pass in 5, but it's going to come down to 11 and 12 again. just like yesterday with a lap and some change. Switch back for Rocco Landers. The 97 has been on point out of Burns, Oregon. Suzuki SV650, the sportbiketrackgear.com, roadracingworld.com. Suzuki takes a white flag, one more to go. That differential is going to be over 7 seconds. And here they are coming down the front straightaway. There's nobody telling who's in what spot. Hayden Schultz has a good gap that time. I mean, he is trying to pull away.
He didn't have to worry about somebody coming past him on the front straight.
You're seeing the wet sign for Rocco out there. So word is there is some rain in sectors, and Rocco's going to see that, but he hopes not to, man, still the wobbles. DeCarroll knows he needs to gain points. That's 2 points difference between third and fourth. 3 points, actually. You get 16 for third place. You get 13 points for fourth. And he cannot let Rocco get even more of an advantage. That would be 12 more points today.
Also, they give Rocco that sign wet because he has such a big lead. Just make sure you don't take any chances.
All right, Dominic Doyle, look at him. He's getting really close to Hayden Schultz. Rocco Landers is going to win this one. It's the race for second. Who's going to be there? Oh, man, hard on the binders. Doyle tries undercutting every time there to set him up in this section, Raj.
He was trying to put the power down, but you could see him starting to slide the rear a little bit. I don't know. It's going to be hard if there's a lapper in front. I'm not sure if he's going to get in the way, but this run out of this last corner is going to be pretty important if Caleb's going to get on the box.
All right, we're showing the number ones. Look at the background. We'll see there. Rocco Landers going to take the victory. Checker flag comes out for him. 4 in a row for Rocco. Let's look back to second and find out who's going to do it. Coming down the 259 out of the draft is Dominic Doyle. It's going to be Schultz, followed by Doyle. DeCarroll is going to take fourth place. And Mom and Pop Landers are loving what they're seeing there. It's going to be Toby Komsuk in fifth. Jackson Blackman, his teammate, is going to be sixth. And look at that. From last to seventh is that 79 of Teague Hobbs on the Suzuki. Great run. I wish we would have seen him on his original starting spot. That's what happens. I'm assuming, when they said the valve stem, I'm sure that valve itself must have just been leaking. And you're talking about a 50-cent part. 50-cent part might have cost you a chance.
Start last and come back and get seventh. And
tremendous.
Even after a couple laps, we looked and he was faded back to 12th after a mistake and then worked his way back up to seventh again.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, a 50-cent part cost him a chance at a podium right there, you would think. And that cool down lap. Somebody can pop some wheelies now. You ain't got to worry about anything. No clutch, nothing else. He's going to have that thing ready for Birmingham next weekend. Didn't get the best launch. Well, he got a pretty good launch, but like you said, it looked like he missed second gear there.
Looked like he struggled. Got a good launch and then looked like he struggled getting it into second.
Caleb. What? Caleb's going to go back there, and Rocco's going to think. He's looking at what position we in? What position are we in? Look at him. That's exactly what he's doing. Even more fist fight. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the podium. Let's take a look at
now he's asking Dominic what play.
Yeah. Photo finish here towards the end.
It helped Hayden Schultz, too. He has a lapper right there in front of him that he get the draft to the stripe.
Yeah, but Hayden gets it by full bike length. And no doubter there. But, yeah, Rocco didn't know because, remember, the last time we saw Mom put on their 51 was in second. He didn't want that to happen because that means he was going to gain 5 points, which, yes, he wants to gain points. But the difference between second gives you 20 points. Fourth, 13. That's a 7-point difference just from, having two blockers in there or two helpers in there for him. And they're racing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Teague Hobbs might have been in that mix, too. Again,
I think he would have.
I do, too.
Especially after yesterday and just all weekend he's been so strong.
You got to work on going fast, though, right? And, I mean, him starting in the back and learning how to pass those guys and, blow through. Be interesting to see what happened that dropped him back the positions you were talking about. Here's the results for the top 9 spots. Cooper McDonald, the last one on there. But Teague Hobbs works his up basically from worst up near the front in 7th.
Yeah, good run from him. We've talked about starting last and just not making mistakes. It's easy when you start last like that to try to force your hand too early and just keeping more mistakes and work his way up to get 7th and get some good points is a good ride by him.
And yeah, Rocco comes back there and he asks his crew, who's in what spot. And he knew already, and there's one guy that's helping him. It's ironic, isn't it? In the Liqui Juniors, he needs helpers to keep Dominic behind. Well, this time Dominic was the one that's keeping Caleb DeCarroll behind.
Good ride by Dominic Doyle, too. Just his first weekend on the Twins bike and, barely missing the podium yesterday and come out today and get on the podium. He has to be pretty happy with that.
A little eyebrow raise. Chris Ulrich with the M4XR Suzuki team. And although he's not principally sponsored by that team, he's on the sportbiketrackgear.com, roadracingworld.com, Suzuki. I promise you, he's talking to Chris big time. Let's go down to Jamie Howe at the podium.
As Rocco Lander celebrates his second Twins victory for this weekend. Rocco, big changes were made to your bike overnight. How much more raceable was it for you today?
Well, the biggest change was that we made it to where it wasn't power sliding quite so much out of the corners, which helped. But I knew I had good pace from warm-up, and we made a good tire choice. My crew chief, Thomas, and my chassis mechanic, Christian, and my mom and dad. But, I felt great. The bike feels good. Sportbiketrackgear.com and Road Racing World are always there for me and making a great program for us. So, I couldn't give it up enough for Brian and Max Fan with Sport Bike Track Gear, and John and Chris Ulrich with Road Racing World, and Suzuki and Mythos, HJC, Dr. Farr, Barry Russell with KFG Motorsports for all of his suspension help. He's like a god. But thank you so much.
Great job. Congratulations, Rocco. Our race winner.
Bennett. You see him twisting the throttle there. He was looking back just like he did yesterday, managing that differential. At the end, he won by 4.7 seconds over Hayden Schultz. Speaking of, Jamie's caught up with him.
And if you remember yesterday with Hayden Schultz, he was happy to be up on the podium, but he knew that there was a little bit more. You advanced up to second today. How much more comfortable are you this time around?
The effort was the same to get here, but better results. So I'm so happy that we didn't get drafted to the line this time. I was nervous. I wanted to lead out of the last corner just because I felt like I was a little bit stronger there, and I didn't want to have to make a chance and try to draft for second. So this time I was lucky not to get a last second draft by somebody else, and I was kind of waiting for it, and it never came. And I was so relieved when I crossed the finish line to finally earn a second in the Twins Cup class. It's so hard. We have so many good competitors with Dominic and Caleb and Jackson and Rocco and all these guys that are just so fast, so they keep you on your game. And we brought it today and had a really good battle all race long. And so there's a lot of strategy going in, especially when we hit about 3 laps to go and I found myself back and forth. I was like, man, I do not want to miss out on the podium this race, especially how hard I've been working. So I was able to make some moves and stay P2. But I just have to give a shout out to my whole team, Gene, Gary, Dink, Mick, just everybody that helps me. I couldn't do any of this without them. I say that a lot, but I really couldn't. And all my sponsors, Britnum Construction, Law Tigers, Cycle Gear, Blood Lubricants, RS Tai Chi, 60 Helmets. All those guys have been behind me all year, and they've seen our progress, and we're getting closer to this top step. We just have a little bit more to go, so I'll go back, train harder for Barber, and see if we can't close the gap a little bit to the first place, because that's where we want to be.
You're certainly getting there. Nice job.
And talking about finally a second place. He actually has a second place earlier this year. That was Atlanta, but Rocco Landers ran off in that last turn, if you remember. But he did this one and battled with the best of the best out there, including the man who finishes third, Dominic Doyle, that guest ride. He needs to be thanking Dr. Carl right about now, the plastic surgery team looking good. Doyle takes his first podium in the Twins Cup.
And for Dominic Doyle, you said it. He's only been on this bike for 3 days now, your second race, Dominic. What did you learn yesterday that allowed you to get even better today?
Well, we made some changes to the bike, and I think we just kind of went in the wrong direction with them. And I just had to ride around the problems throughout the race. There were quite a lot of head shakes, so I'd have to get off gas and just get back on gas. But I rode around it, and we got up here. I just want to give a special thanks to the whole Robin team for having me out here this weekend, as well as Carl Price for letting me ride his bike. All my sponsors, Bison Leathers, Eye Helmets, Forma Boots, Orient Express, K-Tech. I wouldn't be here without them all, and I'm really stoked to get a first podium on the Twin on the first weekend, so it's good.
Congratulations, Dominic Doyle, our third place finisher.
Good deal there, and Rocco's smiling because he gained even more points. Again, 25 points for first. Caleb DeCarroll back there in fourth receives 13, so that's 12 more points on top of that 7-point advantage. We'll take a look at those overall points here in just a moment, but Look at that race for those 3 podium spots. Good start by Rocco, but then again,
And you
watch
see him
out.
right here kind of struggled to get to second gear, but he knew right away. He knew what his goal was try to get in the lead. And Dominic Doyle made a lot of passes here in turn 5 all race long.
Hayden Schultz wanted to be in the lead or in the front position coming out of that last turn. He did just that, but it was a 3-way battle for second.
It was. All these guys were fighting so hard, and you knew Caleb wanted that second spot, not to, being in that championship hunt. He didn't want to lose as many points, and he was trying to make moves when he can. But Dominic Doyle again, turn 5.
We got to see what Caleb and Carroll was all about, though. He fought. Bike wasn't quite right yesterday. Better today, no doubt. But he was fighting hard for that second. Finished 4th.
Definitely fought hard for it. Improvement from yesterday, and he did his best, and that's all he could do. And it was cool to see Dominic Doyle. Bike wasn't perfect for him, but he rode around the problem, and that's what you have to do.
Schultz, Doyle, and DeCarroll. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but nobody quite as fast with the best time of 1:26.00 of Rocco Landers. Just keeps clicking off those records. Look at that, 19 points. And if he misses that last race, it's a 1-race event. He needs to have more than 25 over Caleb and Carroll. But you still got a 2-race weekend at Barber. You still have Indianapolis that everybody's looking forward to before we even get to Laguna Seca.
Yeah, he just has to keep doing what he's doing, building the points, and the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th is starting to get pretty tight too. And even Jason Madonna, 6th, missing both races this weekend, kind of slid down a couple spots.
Feel bad for him. Teague Hobbs also trying to move up as well. And you got guys that are racing throughout the year in different parts of the country. Dominic Doyle with those 2 solid finishes have him in 13th with 29 points total in a weekend. Pretty darn good weekend for Dominic Doyle, getting his first podium in the Twins Cup. We'll get to see what he does in the Lickle-Molly Juniors here later on this afternoon, local time at just after 2 o'clock. Got the rest of today's schedule. This is the first of 4 races this afternoon. Rocco's all smiles so far. 3 races this weekend, 3 victories for him. Super Sport, the top of the hour. Less than 15 minutes, so we're getting ready with our show. It'll be on MAV TV and Eurosport. Then the Lickle-Molly Junior Cup, we'll get to see Dominic and Rocco go at it once again, and many, many others on MotoAmerica Live Plus. Then the Honda Superbike race number 2, live on FS1 and Eurosport. We'll see if Cameron Bobier can go back-to-back here in New Jersey Motorsports. So, although the racing's done, it's far from done for the racers. They have to go into the media area. There's Vice. We're going to get a word and get some insight. Make sure you check out MotoAmerica.com for more. Pops up.